slow swim by his standards, to get up there with that leading pack. He will be hard to toss from there.
Well, a win could come from anywhere amongst these guys. All of them are good runners, but one very interesting factor is Brad Bevan leading the race. It's not often in the Grand Prix formats that you actually see Brad Bevan make a point of getting out in front early in these races, and I think that this is a psychological ploy by him. There were some people who perhaps questioned whether he was at his best after, even though he won the International Grand Prix overall, he didn't win any of the races. He won it on his consistency, and I think some people have doubted his ability to be as good as he has in the past, and I think here he is in the first race of the St George Grand Prix this year saying, I am here, don't you forget about me, I am going to make the rest of you work for anything you get.
Well, Jace Meadows is right up there. Brad now, as you speak, taking a little turn behind the leaders. Greg Bennett is taking a turn in front. Andrew Noble is there with them. And as I mentioned, Miles Stewart, a winner of one of these three races right here at Manly in round one last season. Chippy Slater's there, and Paul O'Brien still with the leaders. Loch Volmerhouse is up there as well.
Well, they have a 2 kilometre run ahead of them. That's 4 laps they do of the same course. And it's Brad Bevan and Greg Bennett who are jostling for the lead at the moment. It's actually quite an advantage to be the first into the transition, as we see Miles Stewart also well positioned there. So it will be Brad and Miles first in.
Oh, what a race this is warming up to be. Miles, as I mentioned, is a little trimmer even again in 1996. He had a look at the series late in 95. Last year was the first time he competed in a full series. There's some trouble in transition, unfortunately, for Meadows.
Well, that just goes to show you cannot lose any time at all in transition. They are flying.
Di Holden.
Evan and Miles Stewart had a fabulous transition. Loch Volmerhouse didn't, and Greg Welsh and Spencer Smith are about 30 seconds off the pace.
Onto the run, and they are flying over 2 kilometres. Can anyone edge out Stewart and Bevan? It looks like it may come down to those two, but you never know. There are quite a bunch of runners behind them, and Greg Welch is in that second group. Coming into transition now is another pack of riders. Spencer Smith among them. Now, he is noted for an incredible finish, but I think he's giving them too much start here. But I might add, Eamon Nunn was also in shot there. I might add, Spencer would not be familiar with the big surf we're seeing today.
No, he wouldn't. He's living in San Diego now, but he's from England originally. We also saw Jamie Hunt from New Zealand in that second pack. He is a fantastic runner, but I think all those guys have given away too much. I believe that the win will come from either Miles or Brad, and Miles Stewart won the first race here at Manly. He has got the best kick out of anybody in triathlon. If it comes down to the sprint, I think it'll be Miles.
Oh, this is great to see. Miles, Bevan at his shoulder. This is terrific. Oh, Chris McCormack just up behind Greg Bennett. In fact, he's taken him out. Chris won the recent Australian Sprint Championships. He wasn't even in the leading pack on the bike. Where has he come from?
Well, Chris McCormack, this is superb. Now, Chris McCormack is a 3-time schoolboy cross-country champion. I reckon he is going to go past these guys and just head for that finish line.
Well, unless something's gone wrong and Chris is a lap down, but I can't believe he could possibly be that far behind, even though he wasn't in that leading pack. This is an amazing run from Chris McCormack. He was ill for last season, really had a write-off of a season in the St George Bank Grand Prix last year, but he has been training on the Gold Coast with Miles Stewart under Miles' dad Cole. Really has had a great rest for this and has been steadily preparing. His best GP result prior to this was the 13th in Wollongong in 1995, but he did come 4th in the 1993 World Junior Championships. He has the calibre to win a race of this quality, and he has been starting to pick up form recently. Won an ITU race in Drummondville late last year before he won the National Sprint Championships on December 15. But he is now threatening Brad Bevan and Miles Stewart. I wonder what Brad would think about this situation. Let's hear one of Brad's tips for triathletes.
Professional triathlon is certainly very demanding, but you can get involved at virtually any age group or at any level. All it takes is just a few half-hour sessions per week of each discipline, and you'll be ready for your local triathlon. And you'll get as much satisfaction and enjoyment out of the sport as I do.
Back with our leading pack, where Brad Bevan certainly getting no satisfaction out of seeing Chris McCormack and Miles Stewart in front of him in the first of our 3 races this afternoon. Round 1 of the GP. Oh, this will be fascinating. We haven't seen a run of the calibre of McCormack so well placed on Bevan and Stewart at this stage of the series. I guess there's a lot of respect between all these athletes, but I wonder if Miles and Brad suspected Chris would be up there with them at this stage.
Well, probably not. Chris McCormack, in previous years, he always seems to have had extremely bad luck in the Grand Prix. It's all he ever wanted to do was to race in the Grand Prix. He loves the excitement of it, he loves the crowd, but every year he'd come in, something would go wrong, he'd have an accident, and he'd end up not being able to finish the series. He's here today because of his performances in the St George Tour, the national series of races. He won the Australian Sprint Championship, and he's going to make the most of it. But Miles Stewart has upped the pace again. So it's Miles Stewart, Chris McCormack, Brad is hanging in there, and Greg Bennett is a little bit in no man's land at the moment in 4th place. The top 3 have already lapped 2 of our competitors.
Well, we've got Stewart, McCormack, Bevan. Bennett is next, then Chippy Slater hanging in there. Andrew Noble, very, very good runner. Should be able to hold position there. Might even be able to do some damage on the top 4. Meadows is hanging on quite strongly. Volmerhouse is good on the run. And Locke should be able to hold position well there. Speaking of holding position, if Paul O'Brien can maintain his position now, he will record a top 10 finish in his first ever St George Bank Triathlon GP. And that is just incredible against this calibre of field. Simon Knowles is there with him. Then we've got Spencer Smith and Greg Welch just out of the top 10, in fact, well, 10th and 11th anyway, and they are surging, so they are really chasing points at this stage. Can't see them winning from here. Then we've got Fiddler, Reed, Nunn, Hill, Mangum, Carnell, Hunt, Sanson, Chapman, Johns, Simon, Ornelas, Zeetzen and Jono Hall, the duathlon champion, rounding them up. But right now, that was Greg Bennett in hot pursuit of the 3 leaders. As we near the end, the bell lap of this first race. Stewart holding on from McCormack, and there too is Brad Bevan.
Well, this is incredible. Those 3 have just run past Andrew Johns, who is acknowledged as probably one of the fastest 3-kilometre runners in this whole field, and they have lapped Andrew Johns. The pace is hot. Chris McCormack is pushing it. Miles Stewart desperately wants this race. He loves the pressure. He had to win the last 3 races of the ITU World Cup Series in order to win the title, and he did that. Not many triathletes would have been able to handle the pressure, and here he is. The pressure's on him again, and he is pushing the pace.
Oh, it doesn't come any closer, believe me. Stewart, Bevan and McCormack. Now, McCormack is, I think, perhaps being, well, what's the term, out-experienced, maybe? Bevan and Stewart are playing little mind games up there with him, and that's one area that Chris can't really match these 2 in, and that's experience. He's hanging on now, but I think Stewart, who's upped the pressure again, might be just looking to break that elastic band, so to speak. He's pulling away from Bevan and McCormack, has a look around, and I think Bevan and McCormack may well be broken. It'll be a matter here of holding position for Brad Bevan. Stewart waves, he knows he's got it. Great performance, Miles Stewart, he has nailed one. The first of our super sprints this afternoon. Bevan can afford to ease up on the line. Congratulations, Chris McCormack, on a stunning performance after what was a forgettable season in 1996. Here's Guy Leach.
Miles, you've come off such a great winter preparation, mate. You look so strong out there.
I felt good, I felt comfortable. You know, I got mucked around and swim a little bit, missed a wave here and there, and got one, missed one, got one, missed one. Came out of the water, still gave myself a fair bit of work on the bike. I did a lot of work, shut the gap pretty much by myself. And from there on in, it was just a matter of sit in, sit comfortable and wait for the run. And I led the whole run, I felt comfortable the whole way, and I didn't even realise it dropped off till I looked around. And I still had a fair bit left in me, so I hope I can carry that through for the next 2 races.
To me, you look leaner, you look faster in the run leg, and it seems like you've come off the best preparation possible to have a shot at winning the series this year.
Well, my run's come a long way, you know, since I've dropped the weight, everything's become a lot easier. And I'm feeling good form, you know, today I feel comfortable in that run, but, you know, there's 2 more to go yet, and my dad pretty much told me with the surf the way it is to just go for a win if you can get one. So I did that today, and, you know, 2 more to go, we'll see how I end up.
Well, congratulations, you got 1 win up already, and good luck for the other 2.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, excellent performance there from Miles Stewart. He's won the first of our 3 races. There's Locke Volmerhouse giving you a visual on just how testing these triple super sprints are. And walking past in the background there was Shane Reed in his first ever appearance in the St George Bank Triathlon GP. Trotting over the line there. It looked like Jason Harper. who I think is really feeling it, as are most of the competitors here. But congratulations to that man, Miles Stewart. He's won the first this afternoon. We'll be back with more after this. 2 to come.